Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to video number 2 in our budgeting series. If you have not watched video number 1, you are going to want to do that, and you are also going to want to complete the homework assignment that I gave you in that video because it really needs to be done before we can move on to the steps that I am going to share with you today. I will have that video linked in the drop-down box below as well as on the blog post, but I will also have another video that I just did a few days ago sharing who pays for what when we go on family vacations or family outings. My husband and I have been married for almost 26 years, and we have 5 beautiful daughters. The oldest 3 are adult children. They are out on their own and they are financially independent. We still have 2 at home that are still milking off mom and dad, but that just comes with the territory, and you know I say that jokingly. But I have been asked many times, who pays for what? Our 3 oldest are not married. Some of them do have boyfriends, so the boyfriends come along. So when we go on family outings and family gatherings and family vacations, it's really large. We can have up to 12 people. It can be very expensive. So if you want to know how we manage that all and who pays for what, you'll want to make sure you check out that video as well. Well, let's dive into what we're talking about today. By now, you would have your budgeting binder all set to go, or you would have your documents saved on your computer that you can work from. Let's dive right in and pull up the very first document, which is Bill's Primary. I do want to comment on this document real quick because I have had a couple people reach out to me with a really good question. And that question is, if you're dealing with 2 incomes, how does it work? Well, just like everything else, this is a decision that you are going to need to make with your spouse or the person that you are sharing paying for those bills with. I don't really want to spend a lot of time getting off topic on this because I think you can figure this out for yourself, but there's a lot of different ways to look at it. If you and your spouse or significant other have similar incomes, there is a good chance that you might split the bills right down between the 2 of you. But let's just say your spouse makes quite a bit more of a salary than you do. Your spouse might be contributing more towards the bills than you do. So this is something that you're going to have to figure out on your own, and it's really not going to be that hard. You just have to sit down and do it. That is not where I want to spend our time today, but I want to make sure that I get it out there, and I will show you a real quick example. Let's look at our Bill's Primary page. Once again, you will see the top line item says mortgage, $1,200 a month. Next to that, I had the $600, and I talked about in the first video how if you got paid twice a month and your mortgage payment was $1,200, you would pull out $600 per paycheck to pay for that mortgage payment. Let's say you have 2 incomes that are going towards that mortgage payment, that's $1,200 a month. And let's say that you get paid every single Friday. And let's say you're going to contribute out of your income $400 a month to go towards the mortgage payment. Now you are going to pull out $100 per month out of your paycheck to go towards the mortgage payment, which is going to equal the $400. Let's say your spouse has a higher income and he is contributing more to the mortgage payment per month. He is now going to be left with the other $800 of that mortgage payment. So he is going to pull out $400 per paycheck. He gets paid twice a month. I hope that makes sense. If you think about it, it should. Okay, now that you got that all figured out, hopefully, let's move on to what the purpose of video number 2 is, and that is setting up your banking system. One of the first things that you are going to want to do is make sure that your paycheck is direct deposited into your financial institution. Most companies offer that. You need to take advantage of it. Once you have your paycheck direct deposited, you can set up a sub account. A lot of times your direct deposit will go into a main account, but you can set it up where once that's deposited, they can pull out portions of that money and put it into a sub-account. And that is where the bills primary and the secondary are going to come into play. Let's take a look once again at the bills primary page, and we're looking at the number to the right of each payment. If you go down to the bottom, you will see what the total monthly expenses are. You will also see every pay period. The important thing, regardless if it's coming out of his check, her check, or both checks, the important thing is that amount, the $1,821 that I am showing for an example, is going into a sub-account. So paycheck gets direct deposited. You have it set up where $1,821 immediately gets pulled and gets put into a sub-account. You don't need a debit card for that sub-account because it's only going to be there to pay bills. Then what you are going to want to do is set up all of your bills automated. Almost every single bill can be taken out electronically. Once it's all set in stone, this is all very easy because it's automatically being done. So yeah, you might have to put a little time in it now, but think of the return on investment later on. The beauty with having that money pulled out into that sub-account that you never touch, again, no debit card needed on that, is you will never be behind on your bills. If there's a bill that you always like to pay a little bit more on the principal, you can set it up with that payment center to take a little bit more than the monthly payment. They'll do it. They'll take your money. Don't worry, no problem. Again, you've got to get that money out of your hands because then you're never going to be late on a payment and you really never have to think about it, and then you're never allowing yourself to run short. That is going to cover all of your primary bills. Now, if you are like us, where we have one bill that will not come out electronically, which is our water bill, and that is every 2 months, I pull money out to go into an envelope. So I pull the cash out to go into an envelope, but I don't want to jump ahead because we're not really quite to the envelopes yet. Right now, we're setting up the direct deposit and how we break down the sub-accounts so that the money can automatically be electronically taken out to pay for your bills. Now, after that money is taken out for your bills, we have money left. And what is that money going to be for? Well, we have to cover our secondary bills, and this is where most people get themselves in trouble, and this is generally where people tend to cut themselves short, and then they don't have enough money to get them through to the next pay period, and they're relying on credit cards to do so. Well, we want to eliminate that because we don't want to be using the credit cards. So the remaining money that is left in the main account where your direct deposit went, you have to learn to keep some of that money in there. And if you can't do that, then you're going to have to pull it out and you're going to have to work out of an envelope. So feel it out, see how you're doing, get in communication with your significant other or your spouse if you're sharing that account, and make sure that the money stays put. Let's take a look at our secondary bills page. That means $500 needs to stay in the account for groceries. $40 needs to stay in the account for gas. $75 if you have a house cleaner. So on and so forth. I'm not going to take a lot of time going through the breakdown. I think you will understand. It takes some discipline. You need to pretend it is not there. Keep that money in the account. Let's just say, for instance, if you look down at the bottom of this document, every pay period, $742 needs to stay in this account. You'll have a debit card on this account because you're going to pay for your groceries, you're going to pay for your gas, you're going to pay for a lot of things out of here. But the most important thing is $742 of that money does not get touched. Let's say you have $200 left to your name. That is your spending money. So if you're out getting latte breath every day at Starbucks, that might not be working for you if you're cutting yourself short. Maybe you aren't going to be taking that lunch break as often. Maybe you're going to have to paper sack it. You might not be going out to dinner. You might have to pass up a few things because it's going to take a while for you to acclimate to not using a credit card to get yourself through. Now let's move on to the envelope system. So let's say you do have $200, $300 left to your name to get you till the next pay period. Now you got to start looking at the envelope system. What is it that you are going to need money for? Is there any upcoming events? Is there upcoming birthdays? Easter, do you have to pay for a registration fee for one of your children to be in some type of sports? Is Mother's Day coming up? Is Father's Day coming up? There are so many things that you need to look at, and again, this is where so many people are relying on plastic, and I'm not talking the debit plastic, folks. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the credit. It may take a while, and you may find yourself spending less for people for gifts because you don't have the money. Don't live beyond your means. We've all heard that. Always live on less than what you have. If you do, again, where's your ROI? You're going to have a major return on your investment for that decision. Once again, I'm going to leave it here because you have another homework assignment, and I know you're super excited to get into the envelopes, and I totally get that, and you could probably jump a little ahead and start to see how things are going to flow, but the key is that video number 1 steps all got complete, and now you are setting up the bank account. You are talking it over with your spouse or significant other to figure who's contributing. What I love here is the dialogue is taking place. There's some communication going on between you and your significant other or your spouse. You know, a lot of people will say that money is one of the biggest breakdowns of a marriage, but really the culprit behind it is communication. It's not so much the money, it's the lack of communication about the money and where the finances are going. So once again, yes, I'm leaving you, but I will be back and we will tackle the envelope system. I think the 3rd video will be very exciting for you guys to see the final breakdown, how I do it, how my husband and I work together as a team, and how much I love to share all of this with you. So thanks again for joining me for video number 2. I hope this was helpful. Get on the ball, get that direct deposit going, get that breakdown, get the sub accounts, no debit card in that sub account, get everything automated and electronic, and you will be very happy that you do. I love to not have to think about it every single month. It just automatically comes out. It's a no-brainer. It's a great place to be. It's very freeing, trust me. Don't forget, like always, anything that I am wearing new, my makeup details, my jewelry details, it'll all be linked for you if you are interested. And I thank you so much for joining me for video number 2. I can't wait to get video number 3 out there and talk a little bit more about those envelopes. Thanks for joining me and have a great day. Take care.